going live. Here we go. You are live.
Oh, there we go.
Hello. So this morning, and it is morning here in Scotland. It's just after. Well, it's coming up to 20 to 10 in the morning here, and it's about 22 over there in on the Pacific time. So
that's affirmative.
So I very much thank you for giving up a bit of time to have a brief chat. We'll just make it very, very short and then let you get off, because you've got a busy day again tomorrow, haven't you?
Yes, yep. Lots of stuff going on tomorrow. In the morning, 11 a.m. Pacific, I will be live with Brandon Maddox.
Yep.
Rising country artist. So we'll be with him. He'll be performing his new song "Drive Me to Drink" and probably a few others.
Excellent. Quick. So I'm here to. Sorry.
Well, then after that, about a couple hours after that, about 4 p.m. Pacific. I'm sorry, 2 p.m. Pacific. I will be talking live with Fenn and Julie from the 80 More Things podcast, which some people have been hearing me talk about recently. Mm-hmm. Fenn and Julie are brilliant, so hopefully we'll get a lot of people to show up, and you guys will actually get to see Fenn and Julie on camera. I know some of you may have during Mamathon, but it's probably been a while, so you'll be able to put some faces with the podcast that you listen to.
Yep.
And I love their podcast. It's awesome.
Yep. Now, you'll remember, was it about a week and a half ago, there was a news article which had actually inserted the wrong name of Brendan where it should have been Joseph Evans, had given a confession.
Correct.
And obviously it was Fenn at the time who actually went and emailed, was it USA Today? Was that the name of it?
Well, Fenn did a lot of things, and she probably ended up being part of a community of people that brought this awareness to USA Today. But I'll tell you what, Fenn was pretty quick to jump at it. She started emailing Drizzen, Knight Rider, everybody important, so that those people could be aware of it, so that they would then be emailing USA Today. Yeah. So she was getting a lot of people. She was raising the alert very early on. Mm-hmm. So I give Fenn credit, but there probably ended up, because of the alert that was being raised by Fenn, and maybe even a few other people like Fenn that noticed it and immediately started raising the alert. But it's probably them that got Knight Rider, Drizzen's attention. The people that needed to then nudge USA Today and go, "Excuse me, are you saying our client did this?" To where USA Today had it changed in the morning.
Yeah.
Boomed. So that when you see the wheels spin that quickly, folks, there's a reason why.
Yes. Yeah.
The lawyers have talked, and it didn't go well for USA Today.
No, but in fairness, they changed it straight away. I must admit, I was completely dumbfounded. I thought, wow, not only have we had this confession from Evans, and now Brendan Dassey has confessed. It's like, what's going on?
That's why I said in the video I did, it was like, upon rereading it, I'm like, no, this reads just like what he was saying about Evans.
Yes.
It's like somebody just put Brendan's name there. I think that's just a complete bonehead move by somebody right there. So that's why I even said in the name of the video, which is now unlisted. It's not, the only way you can get to it now is if you can find a link for it somewhere. Yeah. I put in the name there, or is it a typo? Because that was really, when you read it, it's just like, no, they're talking about the Evans confession. This is clearly they're talking about the Evans confession here, and so anyway.
Yeah, it had me pondering. You're looking from 4,000 miles away. I've got a slightly different perspective to a lot of people, as I'm sure you'll appreciate.
Yeah.
How long ago you said that? Anyway, so first of all, here's one of my thoughts about the latest petition for clemency. Could it be that Steve and Laura are simply fed up with dealing with the DOJ monkeys and have decided to go straight to the organ grinder?
You're saying they're getting tired of dealing with the monkeys and have gone straight to the organ grinder, which I think is a funny metaphor. Look, here's, I just put it like this. This is the way I see it.
Okay.
Nine Rider and Drizzen right now are just their goal is to get Brendan out of prison so that he doesn't have to suffer anymore in prison.
Yep.
For something he didn't do.
Exactly.
I think they're willing to do that at almost any cost. I think, but they are trying to get him out on actual innocence, so that should be kept in mind as well.
Yep.
But that it's just a kind of a long shot that this will work with Governor Evers. So this is them trying something that, if it does work, it'll work kind of in rapid motion. It'll work kind of. It won't take a long time. It doesn't have to go through appeals and whatever. Most likely, it'll just if it's decided, it'll just happen, kind of thing. Maybe not overnight, but the wheels will turn somewhat more quickly than they would with the courts.
Yeah.
So they're doing this. They're taking the shot at this. Just remember that most of the legal experts say something like this is a long shot. So they're taking a stab at it.
Yeah.
If they don't get it, which maybe they expect they won't, or maybe maybe they think it's just worth a try, they still have the ability, what's the word I'm looking for? They still have the opportunity to just go through and cherry pick all of the evidence that they can possibly use for Brendan in his benefit, that Kathleen Zellner has been turning up in her wake as she is just, running through and ripping apart the prosecution's narrative. There's things she's turning up, new things she's doing. And if any of these things can help Brendan, it can all be part of Brendan's eventual 97-406 motion. Just like Stephen filed, the big 1,000-page thing Stephen filed. Yeah. Brendan will have the open to him.
Yes.
Because he hasn't done that yet.
Yeah.
So that is where Brendan's at. I mean, so ultimately, I think this here is just them trying to get Brendan out in the quickest way possible. It may work. They know it may be a long shot, but hey, what if it works? Because look at how lovable Brendan is, and look at how many people are on his side. Maybe it's got a shot. I think that's honestly probably the way they looked at it.
Well, from my understanding, it would appear as if the news was quite big news over there, not just in Wisconsin, but throughout America. So, whether you want to label it as some sort of publicity stunt or whether it's just a case of upping the ante, making Brendan more relevant, it seems to have done the trick, even on just that basic level, has it not? Yeah.
People really do give a crap about Brendan.
Yeah.
Remember how big a news it was when Judge Duffin ordered that his conviction was overturned and the confession was thrown out and everything back in 2016 or whatever? I mean, that was so huge. It was every media source was. It was again, just like I did the other day when Joseph Evans' confession was coming out. I had people messaging me and posting on Facebook and tagging me and stuff, and to show me the Joseph Evans stuff, and I had the same thing happening back then because people knew that I had an interest, some of my friends, and so they were getting the news articles and they were posting them on Facebook and tagging me. So it's like that's how you know it's reaching people, because when people start doing that, that's how I know that it's getting a lot of coverage in the media, because some people that I know obviously aren't interested in it all the time saw something and wanted to go, hey, have you seen this? So, anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had the same. When Duffin made his decision, one of my pupils' mums actually texted me and said, have you heard the latest? And I was in the process of driving, so I mean, I didn't know anything about it. But remind us.
It's so funny though, because I'm totally getting it from people that don't have an interest in, they're not really following, but they know I follow it.
Yes.
So they see, it's like, that's how I know that's how I know that the piece of news is getting circulated, because people that I know don't have a real interest in it are messaging me about it, essentially, right? So, so in this case was like that. So
Sorry, just go back
well, and Kim Kardashian helps too.
Yes.
So
Oh yes, I mean,
which by the way is another thing I have going on. Hopefully, anybody who's watching this that hasn't already, go over to Twitter and maybe think about liking and retweeting my tweet, asking Kim Kardashian and her fans, or at least inviting them to come and be part of the October 12th thing, where we're going to go on Sunset Strip with the banner from Australia and over by the Hollywood sign. So go over and retweet that and stuff. And, if we can't get Kim out, maybe we can get a couple of her, followers and out there to be part of it and show their support for Stephen and Brendan. So if anybody's out there watching Paul right now that's interested, go over to Twitter and do that. Thank you so much.
Yes, yeah. And personally, I think it's absolutely brilliant that we've been trying for years to get as many celebrities on board as possible. And I say the more the better. And I would even go so far as to say that if celebrities were to pick up the baton, whereby the likes of me doing this basically becomes then irrelevant, that wouldn't bother me in the slightest. I would quite happily take a step back and watch it become a much bigger thing. But we'll wait and see. I want to ask you a question. Another one. Was there any thought of Brendan ever taking that like an Alford plea? I know one was never offered, and we don't know what the state are up to. But
as far as I know, no. Precisely because I don't think one's ever been offered. But if you're asking me, do I think Nyrider and Drizzen would consider it if it was? They might.
Well,
they might advise Brendan to consider it.
Yeah. At the moment, from where I can see it, the state are, I'm not going to swear, but they are in a very bad place over Stephen's case, I would say. They've had the protection of Sukovic for, is it now 2 years? They've had her.
And the last time this thing went to the appellate courts showed a great deal of disdain for their procedural bar arguments.
Yes.
So the state is now starting to go, oh boy, we're not feeling so comfortable here.
No. So as looking at it from my point of view, if you've got the state, they are desperately to try and do anything to help their cause. Here's a crazy idea, but bear with me on this. Mm-hmm. What if they could get Brendan Dassey to admit one last time to having been involved in the disappearance of Teresa by saying to him, look, your plea deal was for 20 years. We'll actually reduce that to 15, so you can be out straight away if you simply admit to having done it. Wouldn't that throw a huge spanner in the works for Stephen Avery?
That would not be good for Stephen Avery, of course, but
I mean,
I think that's the one thing where that would stop Drizzen and Nyrider right there. The one part of that where he said he would have to offer a statement incriminating and admitting fault, essentially. I don't think they're ever going to be willing to do that.
Well, let's turn that round now. Brendan has been inside for 15 years.
Yeah.
If he did do it, he could be out very, very shortly by simply saying, yes, I did it, and here how it's done. Now, but if he did it,
you say if he did it, but we know he didn't do it.
Yeah, but
it's impossible that he did it, because if he did it, he wouldn't have to guess 7 times at certain parts of the narrative. I mean, especially when it seems so clear on try 2 and 3 that he's eager to please. Yeah. Anyways,
but my point is, though, that as I said, if he did do it, what would be his purpose for denying it now? He's done 15 years. He could, he can.
Well, keep in mind, none of this can happen except through his lawyers.
Right.
So you have to keep in mind that this would all be getting dealt with through Drizzen and Nyrider. And what would they do?
Well,
right?
Okay. What was the purpose of Ken Kratz getting in touch with Tom Fallon and asking him about an adjustment to Brendan's sentence? What was the purpose of that?
He was just talking about it out. He was talking out loud, I think, about something that might have been a potential possibility. You get the feeling that Ken Kratz, because of being kind of a big wheel there for a while, he kind of knew what types of things might happen in this situation. So that might have been why he was asking. But we know Tom Fallon never confirmed or reciprocated in any way on that questioning from Ken Kratz. So he that's one part of what Ken Kratz said that he didn't even respond to, really.
Yeah, but Ken Kratz in his book, which he tried to sell me, which I wouldn't buy, so therefore he blocked me, but blah, blah, blah. So what? Really, really upset. But in his...
He blocked you because of, well, and I think it was BS, but
yeah.
He blocked you because of that Mike Hallbach stuff.
Yeah. And I said, that's my own shallow sarcasm. In Scotland, sarcasm, it's our national sport. Get over it, Ken. So
get over it, Ken.
the point is that if in his book he has added 2 new chapters saying about Brendan should be released early,
about the deceptive editing of the filmmakers, and about Antu, and about Zellner.
Dude, does anybody think that he's doing that out of the goodness of his heart?
Well, no. Have you been watching his new videos on YouTube?
All you
have to do is wait till the end of his brand new videos on YouTube. He's got 2 of them now. One from the other day and one from today. And right at the end of them, big old plug for his book. He's totally pushing his book.
Yeah.
Totally.
Ken Kratz does not do anything unless he thinks it's going to be advantageous to him. Like I said, this might be going through his mind that if he could get a last confession from Brendan where Brendan says, "Yeah, do you know what? I just want to get out. Let me just, Steve Law, let me just say I did it. That way it'll get me out." Okay, it kind of messes up with Steve's case, but at least I'm out.
What if? But my point is that this has to go through Drizzen and Nyrider. How much of a chance do you think that would have of success?
Yeah, but we all know about the goodness of Ken Kratz's heart,
Oh yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you was, how many
foreplay at the morgue and other fun first dates?
How many people actually came forward to the DOJ to complain about Ken Kratz? How many people did they actually investigate? 15. 15 people came forward. Now, here's a question.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the difference between Gregory Allen attacking women with a knife and Ken Kratz attacking them by saying, I'll not do what you want me to do unless...
Really not much.
Well, do you know what? I think the only difference is this, that Gregory Allen knew what he was doing was wrong and was in fear of getting caught. Ken Kratz thinks what he's doing is perfectly all right. What he did was perfectly all right and had no fear whatsoever of getting caught because he knew at the end of the day it was only going to be their word against mine.
Yeah.
Apart from, I think it was 3 cases, wasn't it? Well, obviously you got every single text in the Van Grol. Was it Van Grol? Was that her name? The one that actually came forward.
I believe that. Yeah. I think that sounds right. Yeah.
She was the 26. She was the tall, young blonde, and she was the 26-year-old who's, I think it was her husband, or no, was it a boyfriend that had attacked her, and he was supposed to prosecute that case and used it to his advantage to say, well, unless you give me what I want within the bedroom, I'm going to drop the case. And yet we've got so many other examples of, he actually got in touch with with one of his victims one of his clients, I think it was from 2006, in 2009, and here's the other interesting thing.
Right.
The confession by Brendan and the press conference that Ken Kratz gives, where he talks about all this, handcuffed to the bed, sweaty this, sweaty that. We did, that was all his. That was all probably not just his imagination. That's what he used to get up to. That's what he used to get up to.
Many people feel like this whole thing may have been largely from Ken Kratz's own mind. A lot of the stuff fed to Brendan. That's been said many times.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that what I would like people to think about is this. Ken Kratz is trying to say that Brendan is guilty. Is Ken Kratz a fine, upstanding, a law-abiding person who has never been in any trouble whatsoever? Answer: no.
No.
Is he somebody? Is he somebody that's done the odd little thing that's not been very good? No. Is he the sort of person that's done quite a few things that aren't very good? No. He is one of the worst, most despicable people ever to enter a courtroom. You know when Judge Fox refers to Steve as being the most dangerous person ever to enter a courtroom? That should apply to Ken Kratz.
Yeah.
He is the most despicable person I've ever had the misfortune to engage with. In fact, it's interesting that, of all the questions that I've asked him, probably
I don't know, there seems to be a pattern, Paul.
Yeah.
If you look at Kaczynski.
Yeah.
I mean, there seems to be a pattern for, harassing women and everything, and getting a slap on the wrist for it if you're the right lawyer.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, here's the one question. There is a pattern to all of the emails I sent him. I sent him loads of questions, and he chose never to answer any of the ones that I'd sent him, and simply went on about the fact that, well, compare what was presented by MAM with what was in my book. And I'm like, well, Ken, I'm not gonna. I haven't bought your book. I'm never gonna buy your book. Forget it, pal. But here's the thing, and you picked up on this. The computer that was stipulated in stipulations. Now that's something important, isn't it? Stipulations, because that's things that both sides agree on. It was labeled as Brendan Dassey's computer, and Ken Kratz says to the Vents, "You're lucky. There's not much of evidentiary value."
Mm-hmm.
In fact, what was on the computer was so damning that Tom Fassbender kept the CD that would have enabled Dean and Jerry to access that information straight away, kept it in his personal possession for 12 years. Now, the point is that was obviously done for a reason, wasn't it? To stop Dean and Jerry getting that the Denny applied to Bobby.
Yeah.
But of course, it also it's my question to Ken was, well, if that was if that was Brendan Dassey's computer, and that was Brendan Dassey that was accessing, searching, and looking at those images, why didn't you use that as one piece of physical evidence that you could have used against Brendan Dassey? Why did you not do that? And do you know what? I had one of our clown guilders say to me, "Oh, well, that was that. In every other conversation, it was the Dassey computer. That was just a mislabeling by calling it Brendan's computer." And you know how idiotic that is, because how do you mislabel nothing much of evidentiary value? Well, you can't, can you? You can't. No, I
will say they were operating under the whole idea that the way that Wisconsin used to interpret Brady.
Yes.
They did recently change, and they now interpret Brady in a whole new way.
Yeah.
Where if the prosecution had it and didn't share it, that's all it takes. It doesn't come down to defense due diligence anymore.
Yep.
It's about if you had it and held it back, then,
Yeah, you did an excellent video with Travis about that, didn't you?
Right.
Where there was another case in Wisconsin just recently where that has caused that change, and there's another little video on Linda Kay's channel. It's a professor talking about the Brady versus Maryland. It's not even 20 minutes long. It's a really good presentation. I mean, if Travis himself recommends it, it must be good. But I'm going to let you go now because it's past 2 a.m, and I want you to tell me about what you're going to be doing later on today, please.
So, like I said later on today, 11 a.m. Pacific time, I will be live with Brandon Maddox. He's a rising country artist. He's a hardworking guy. He's very talented, and his song "Drive Me to Drink" is very cleverly done. He's going to play that for us today, and probably a few others, because he is truly a performer. He shows up with his game face, and I'll tell you what, I really admire the guy because he works hard, and I wish him the best. I really hope he finds success in the country music industry, because he definitely works hard enough, and he really deserves it.
And then next.
And then after that, around 2 a.m. Pacific time, around 2 p.m. Pacific time, I will be live with Fen and Julie Pom Pom, who you guys will know as the host and co-host of the new podcast, 80 More Things, which I've been talking about over on my channel. So show up if you want to see them. They will be smiling on camera, and you guys can put their faces to those voices you're hearing in the 80 More Things podcast. Some of you, like I said, may remember them a little bit from Mammothon. But yeah, we're gonna be talking to them tomorrow as well. So.
Good. Well, when you posted the fact that
and I may be uploading to my Doctor Who channel, mine and Julie Pom Pom's son Cody, our kind of first co-analysis of episode 1 with the new Doctor and all that sort of stuff. So that might happen tomorrow as well. So anyway,
yes,
it might be a busy day.
Well, actually, when you posted that you would be going live with Brandon at whatever time it was, you put like 11 o'clock your time.
11 a.m. Pacific.
11, yeah. Well, of course, that works out that bang on 7 o'clock in the evening my time, and I've got a committee meeting. So I actually replied to your tweet by saying, any chance of putting it back 2 hours? Well, it now transpires that if you're going at 2 o'clock over here, that is perfect timing, dude. That is 10 o'clock my time. That is what I call prime time TV. I shall look forward to that. So thank you.
Right. Thank you for Finn and Julie.
Thank you very much for doing that. It's not often that you accommodate me. Anyway, off to bed, and I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
Yes,
and
we'll see you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks to everybody that's tuned in.
Good night, everybody.
It's a good night from me, and it's good night from him. Good night.